told me he loved me. He told me I was the best.
Yeah, they're so
I love how the audience. I love how the audience. All right, welcome back to Views and Vibes. Sitting here with Colie Williams, and we're going to talk a little bit about your life in New York and how you made that transition here. Now, were you acting and singing in New York before you came to DC?
That actually was, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Before I went to Syracuse, I actually was doing some stuff off.
Right.
Yeah, and so I think that's where I really might have. I caught the acting bug still in high school, but when I did that play, I did this play right after I graduated, and I really was feeling it and was thinking, you know, I could really do this. So then that's why I continued on to Syracuse with the musical theater major.
Now, when you got to DC, what play were you in?
I did children's theater with the Kennedy Center. I went on tour, 6-month tour with the Kennedy Center. And
were you just acting or were you singing as well?
Acting and singing again.
Right.
I did a lot of work with Horizons Theater, which is the oldest women's theater group in the country.
Really?
A lot of people don't know that, and they're based here in D.C. So those were like the main, but I did a lot of stuff with the Kennedy Center, that tour, and then I did Pearly, actually, when they came. That was in, I don't remember the year now, but I did Pearly, and that was with Stephanie Mills, but I was in the chorus, but I was happy because, you know, you had all these big names in it. I also did, there was a group from London that came over, and I was in that. I was in a play with them. So I did a lot of stuff with the Kennedy Center and then Horizons. Then I did a lot of little things here and there, but those are the big theaters that I worked with.
So when did you decide to step off and just do music and just focus on that?
Well, I met the producer and co-writer, Colie Ali, and once I met him...
Producer for what?
He's the producer of the CD, Light Up the Darkness, and we co-wrote most of the songs, except for Black Love. And so we met and became friends, and I talked to him about the fact that I wrote poetry, and he was a songwriter and producer, so he was like, well, if you write poetry, you might be able to write songs as well. So let's try to do it. So he would come up with a hook, because he's an excellent songwriter. I really tribute him with teaching me really how to write songs, because before then I was writing poetry. I think I'm a good poet, but he would write a hook and say, okay, now you come up with the verses. And so sort of trial and error, I started really being able to write songs. Yeah.
Now, were you actually doing more gigs, performing in front of audiences before you decided to do your album, or was the album first?
No, I was working at a restaurant called Mimi's American Bistro. That was in DuPont Circle, and actually Angie Shalal, who owns the Busboys and Poets, I know he wouldn't want me to call them a chain, but those restaurants he owned Mimi's American Bistro before he opened Busboys. I worked there. The theme of that restaurant was that everyone there sang. So throughout the night, while you were eating, you would hear the hostesses, the waiters, the bartenders
that sounds familiar.
singing.
I think I've been there before. That sounds real familiar.
You probably, you know, people really enjoyed it. And I noticed that when I sang, because I always sang and did theater, pretty much. I mean, that's where my head was at. I wasn't really thinking of being a soloist. But when I would get up in the evening and I would sing with the piano player, I would get some attention. And Andy noticed it. So he said, hey, how about we do a little thing, spotlight on some of the artists that are here or some of the vocalists that are here, and you come in on like a Friday evening and do a set, like an hour set or 2 sets, 2 30-minute sets. And I said, okay, and I did a one-woman show, and I called it Everything Must Change. And that was really when I think I began to feel confident, because it was just myself and a piano player, that I could handle a whole night performing. And I wasn't with the band. It was just, it was bare. And then that's when I met, while I was doing that, that's when I met the producer and songwriter that I began to work with. And we began putting the music together and putting band together.
Now, how did the album actually come about? And I know you went through a crazy process in order to actually put the album out. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, we recorded 2 of the songs that are on there, Angel and All You Need. And then the process stopped. But I continued to sing live because I was like, I'm just going to keep doing this. Hopefully we'll be able to, you have your money issues and all that. So I was like, well, I'm going to continue to sing live, continue work on my craft, and hopefully we'll be able to come back to this and put all these songs, because we had a lot of songs that I couldn't record. Right. So while I was performing live and started performing at JoJo's, folks would say to me, okay, all right, you got this All You Need an Angel, but what about all these other songs that you're performing? When are you going to record them? And so it was really the encouragement of folks that would come and hear me perform that I went back to the producer that I was working with and said, we really need to finish this. Let's just knock it out. And so we wrote a few new songs, but pretty much we had a lot of those songs already written and we just hadn't recorded them. But we tweaked here and there and changed up a little bit. I wrote one of the songs by myself, and then we got it done. Kickstarter was a big, I don't know if you even know about Kickstarter, but it's a way to raise money. Because at one point I had gone ahead and put money in of my own, and then I found that I was like, okay, I need to go to the grocery store. I've been there. It's kind of tight. So the producer had always, and his name is Kwani Ali, kept saying to me, you need to try out Kickstarter. Look into Kickstarter. You can raise the money. You have enough. You have networks. You went to Syracuse University. You're a Delta. You have your sorority sisters. You have folks who support you. You'll be able to raise the money. And I was like, I don't really want to ask folks for money.
You don't want to panhandle.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. And he was like, but when I was like looking at trying to go to the grocery store, I was like, okay, you know what? I might have to do this. And I went ahead and did it, and I was able to raise the money and was really able to finish the CD. I raised, my goal was $3,000, and I was able to raise about $3,500.
So how did the album do? I mean, I know. When did it come out?
March 2011. So just last year.
So how's it been going for you?
It's been going well, particularly overseas. I have a lot of support from London. Well, I should just say the UK. And so, yeah, I mean, just a lot of support from over there. I went there in June. It was a soul mixer. There's Mike Ashley is a man who likes to support indie artists. So he has these events here in the United States to get indie artists networking, and he'll have us all perform. Well, he tells us about it, and you can sign up and you can perform. Well, for the first time, he had it in England, in Bristol, England, where he's from. I think that's where he's from. And so went there and performed there. But while I was there, set up interviews before I got there. So I had several interviews on the radio, and actually have another interview with Solar Radio, which is a big radio station there in England this Thursday. So yeah, they're really very supportive over there and buying my music and playing it on the radio.
Well, you have an absolutely wonderful sound, a beautiful voice.
Thank you.
And we're really looking forward, I know I'm looking forward to hearing your next song. So thank you for coming on the show and talking with us.
Thank you.
When we come back after the break, another performance from Colie Williams.